Welcome to Rally the Tartans, where ancient echoes rise with every throw, where clans gather, steel meets stone, and the past walks beside us. We're lifting culture, throwing tradition, and celebrating the warriors, the history, and the heart of the Highland Games. I'm your host, Michael Paul Wolfgar Lewis. Let's rally the Tartans. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whenever you are listening to this, wherever you are in the world, I cannot believe we are already here. Listen, guys, it has been a bumpy road getting started. We have issues with getting things on Spotify and YouTube and trying to make sure everything is cohesive and correct and connected the right way. Normally, I would be bringing you a games recap today. We would be talking about upcoming games, which there's a lot going on right now. As all of you know, in the Highland Games world, September is a crucial month for a lot of states. Everybody is gearing up. Well, in my category, everybody is gearing up, finishing their season and trying to make their statement at Worlds, at Masters Worlds. So there's a lot to go over. And I still wanted to do a special episode where we talk about Stone Put tradition. I don't want to mess up the upcoming interview. Guys, I have had this opportunity, and to me, it was one of the greatest interviews I've ever done. And please understand, I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to college, and I didn't take any kind of media questions or anything like that. I've been fortunate enough to work on radio shows in the past as passion projects. Um, Still made some money off of it, so that was cool, but I've never really been some guy that's just wanting to go out there and do interviews. But I got a chance to interview somebody that was very important to me, somebody that I believe is very important to the Highland Games, especially if you're from that Kentucky area. And that's what I want to get into. I'm going to cut everything short because most of my interviews have been about the 30 to 40-minute range, and Gary Overfelt and I had a wonderful conversation. Maybe my best interview ever. Don't know if I'll ever be able to top that. And I don't want any fluff. I want to get straight to meat and potatoes so you guys can hear from the legend himself. And that's what we're going to do. We are going to jump straight into the interview. I will release a special episode just for those recaps and those highlights of those games coming up because there are so many crucial games and so many amazing athletes throwing amazing numbers right now. But let's get into interview Gary Overfelt. Today's guest is someone whose roots run as deep as the Kentucky soil he started in. Literally, from a tobacco field to the top of the podium, Gary Overfelt has become more than an athlete. He's a coach, trainer, author, and arguably the heartbeat of the Highland Games in Kentucky. Welcome to the show, the Godfather himself. How are you, KO?
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate being on the show. Flattered, honored. Glad you had me on. I'm doing fantastic. How are you today?
Well, we're doing good. It's another day we get to talk about the Highland Games, so I'm ecstatic like a 12-year-old kid on Christmas.
Great.
So listen, let's just kind of dive right into it, Gary. You and I both started out in tobacco fields in Kentucky. That's what makes me love you so much. But tell me about those early days. What lessons from that life stuck with you as you grew into the Highland Games world?
Well, my first lesson probably was don't be a farmer. That was very evident early on. But in all seriousness, you grew up really poor. And you start working early. The reason you do that is you don't have anything if you don't. But I started in tobacco fields when I was about 3 years old, helping top tobacco, hoe tobacco, pull weeds, whatever, drop sticks, all the, stuff they do. And it was just kind of it's just what you did. Hard work was just instilled into me at such a young age that I didn't know you did anything different. I didn't know there was a thing called lazy. I mean, because you live on a farm, there's never downtime. You don't got to worry about being bored because there's always something to do. So it's very good lessons as far as character building moments and all that stuff. And I know people joke about that, oh, it builds character. Well, it literally does. It built, my work ethic and, kind of the person I become today, watching, really great men around me work really hard, never complain, head down, do the work.
That's right. That's right. So, what about when you first heard or seen about Highland Games? Like, at what age did you first start competing?
Well, it's back in the 90s, and I was in I guess, a weird place in my life. I went to college for a year because that's what everybody did. Um, do not fancy myself as a scholar. Let's just say that. I didn't feel like college was going to be really for me. So I got out in the workforce, but still loved lifting weights. Fell in love with muscle back when I was reading comic books. You see these guys, and that's what I wanted to look like. That's what I was building myself up to be. So I get just really out of luck, Michael, actually. Get in a gym in Glasgow, Kentucky, working out, and the guy that owns the gym, who basically is kind of how I built my complete gym around him. He said, "Hey, let's go try out these. Let's go try these Highland Games out," because Glasgow had one of the biggest at that time in the country, one of the biggest Highland Games. So we got the equipment from a guy that was the AD, and just started practicing. And none of us had any idea what we're doing, and that's kind of how it started. I was the worst out of the group of like six. Like, there was all just meatheads from the gym, and most of those guys were stronger than I was, and I had no idea what I was doing. Very, very limited throwing experience. You know how it goes in high school. You know this very well since you're coaching, high school throwers now. Usually the track coach rolls you a shot put, tosses you a disc, and says, "Go throw." There's no technique. You're just out there by yourself trying to figure it out. Well, that was my experience in the track and field world. And it was mostly, honestly, I'm out for track and field, not to throw. I'm trying to bag chicks. That's the whole reason that I went for track and field. And then throwing just kind of came along with it, but we didn't learn anything. Right. So, I'm 21 years old or whatever it was, trying to throw. And these heavy weights, a 56-pound weight, big old stone. Don't even get me started on the caber. But so our guy at the gym, he got us into it. And then we had a guy named J.M. Kuno. And J.M. lives in Nashville. He came up and did a clinic. And it was a pretty basic clinic. And we learned quite a bit from J.M. that day. He was a professional out of Nashville, older guy. But he was really good. J.M. was really good, and he's still around. J.M. will still pop in from time to time. He's still living in Nashville. So he's really kind of how I got, into it and got really interested. And then I just kind of put it on the back burner, because after that, I decided to go back to college and play college football. Again, I don't know how I get into this stuff, because I'm not that confident, but you would think I am, considering the stuff I go back and do. So I went back at 21 years old to go play college football. Never thought about Highland Games again until I got done playing college football. So that's kind of how it all got started. And then it was just kind of an obsession from there.
So after that, was JM kind of like one of your early mentors, or is this path that you've been on, this trailblazing path you've been on, more self-driven?
Well, I didn't really see JM much after that, but I just got, and you'll know this very well, this community that we have in Highland Games is such a camaraderie of people that if you want to get better, you can align yourself with people to do that. And that's what I did. Buddy of mine named Doug Grissom. Doug, love me some Doug. Doug, if you're listening to this, you're my dog. Um, he he was very enthusiastic about going other places to throw. Hell, Mike, I didn't even know games existed outside of Kentucky. But, they're in Mississippi, they're in Arkansas, they're in Kansas, they're all over the place. And he got me talked into like traveling. So after I got done with college, he would call me on a Thursday afternoon and be like, hey, man, there's a game in Jackson, Mississippi. Let's roll. I'm like, what? I'd have like $40 in my pocket. And I'm exaggerating. It's probably more like 20. So I would drive to Atlanta and meet him, and then we would ride in his work van because neither one of us had the money to really travel. So we would ride in his work van on their gas money to a game and then drive back. So that's kind of, you kind of get started in that. And then I started just wanting to get better technically. So I had to, back then there wasn't YouTube and, all these videos and people like me who do online training. So I'm calling across the country, talking to people about, how to get better. It was kind of wild and crazy, but you just had to try to find people that, you could find their information. Like today, I mean, we know everything about everybody. We're on Facebook, we're on social medias. Then it's not like that. So it was kind of a secret society. So you had to really look, to find people, to kind of help you. But that's kind of what I did.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the athletic mindset a little bit. You've trained hard. Obviously, you've competed really hard. What's something people don't really understand about being a Highland Games athlete?
I think the biggest missed point, and I missed this point for a really long time, is your mentality. You've got to be pretty hard-headed. As you well know, I tell people this all the time, Highland Games is just like golf. Bad shot, bad shot, bad shot, bad. Oh my God. I'm back, baby. I'm back. I'm back in. I can't believe I doubted myself. I'm that guy. That's golf. Same thing with Highland Games. Terrible throw, terrible throw. I'm awful. Just quit. Mike, if I had a nickel for every time I screamed some derogatory obesity remark at myself and said, just quit, fatty, I'd be rich. Because you get very frustrated with this sport. But that's, the mentality, you got to be tough. To be good at this sport, you got to be in it for the long haul, unless you're very gifted. Let's say you're a, thrower. We'll take my buddy Sean Betts. He was, I think he was a Division III shot put discus thrower. He had all the intangibles. My buddy Larry Brock was a, decathlete and football player at App State. So they had coaches, so they knew positions. First time somebody said, hey, you want to be lined up at 12 and 6? I'm like, where do y'all see that clock at? I'm looking everywhere. Like, I don't have a clue about the lingo and track at all. So those guys have advantages, but you got to have a mentality. If you want to be good in the sport, it's got to be a no quit, and you got to be happy failing because
Right.
you're going to do that a lot.
Right, for sure. So your mental edge, I mean, is this obviously you have it. Is this something natural or is this something that you've built over time with all the adversity, in college, taking the year off and then going back? Like you're definitely a tenacious person. So is it natural or is it just built over time?
Well, you hit on it when we started the podcast. We both grew up in a place that if you're not resilient, it will break you. And
I agree.
I mean, you get out in those hot, 90-degree days with 115 humidity, and you're chopping away. So when you think about cutting a patch of tobacco, that's life. I mean, you're hacking away, and it doesn't look like my uncle. I used to accuse him of doing this. He would make the longest rows of tobacco in the world. I mean, it was like miles of rows of tobacco. Like it's never going to end. So that right there, that was built into me. But I didn't learn this until I had a guy come in at the gym. His name's Enrique Melgar, and I just posted a video the other day. 64 years old, knocked out 64 pull-ups. He can do that. I tell him all the time because he's foreign. He's from Peru, by way of Miami, he says. But he brought me a book in, and he had no idea what he was doing. But he brought me a book in, and it's called Peak Performance. It was an old book. Cover was half tore off of it. But the book, I opened it up and I started reading it. It's all mental training of how the Russians did it and what they did, their volition, their process, their mind thought, all this stuff. So now this is crazy, Mike, but so I read this book and I put it to work. And you do these mind clusters and whatnot, and I won't go into all of it right now, but so you basically write down on a piece of paper what they're asking you. Then you go, okay, circle your whys. Then you go over, you do all these things, and then at the end it says, hey, write down your goals for the year. So I did. I met every single goal on that paper because I believed I would. And it made me rethink everything because I used to think if I'm a better athlete, then I'll beat you on the field. Nothing else matters. I've just got to be a better athlete than you, move better, be more explosive, have better technique. No. The mind is the key. You listen to Tom Brady, and for God's sakes, I'm not comparing myself to that man, but he was talking the other day on a show, and he said that's what's missing. The kids have all the physical intangibles. They have all the training, but there's a toughness, there's a resilience, there's a belief. All those things are here in the mind. And I think that's what we're missing a lot. And that's one of the things at our gym that we do is I preach that. Give me a mentally tough kid over physically any day, any day. So it took me a while to learn that physicality is only a small percentage of what I'm doing. And when I switched that to the mind, it was completely really a switch. You can go back and look at my numbers. They're completely different from this one part of the year on. And I owe all that to Enrique just luckily slapping a book down in front of me and me reading it and actually applying it.
Remind me to get you out to the football team to give them that pep talk. They're going to need that. So let me ask you this: after that, with you making that switch and really digging in, is there a moment or a throw that's defined you, good or bad?
Yeah, there's probably several, but 2009. I put on what used to be the NASGA message board. That's how we all communicated. I don't know if you remember it or not.
Oh yeah, I stalked that thing for the first I don't know 3 years of my Highland Games life, and probably
Yeah.
commented, and everybody's like, "Who is this stupid kid?"
So I went on there in 2009, and this again is part of the mentality. And I told all the pros only show up at Bethlehem, Pennsylvania at the Celtic Classic if you want to take second. Now, most people are going to think, what an arrogant, cocky. No, that was a plan. That was a plan to motivate and push and drive me. If I said I'm going to win it, by golly, I'm going to win it. So I didn't have a choice because I put it out there for everybody to see. And people that knew me, they knew it wasn't arrogant. They knew that there was a reason for it. So in that game, I was down, I think I was in fourth place in a hammer, and I needed a huge throw because I couldn't get down in points. And hammer was one of my better events. And I reeled off like a 4-foot, I was throwing in the 109s, 110s, and I reeled off a huge throw at the end to take first place. So it's a 2-day game. So the very last event at the Celtic Classic, the national championship, is a 28 for distance. And I'd had a really good year with it. But Harrison Bailey is from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And Harrison was a phenom thrower, just a unit. And we get up there for the 28, and he's only a half a point behind me. And actually, let me take that back. I was a half a point behind him going to the last event. And I said, I'm going to win this thing. And here we are. So he reels off a first throw of 88 feet with a 28. And I get up there and I go 89. Now, I'd thrown 89 before, but had never, cracked the 90. So Harrison gets up again and goes 88 plus. And now I'm starting to sweat. So I'm like, oh man, here we go. So I get up there and I reel off like at 87. Well, he comes back up and throws 88 again. He's ahead of me. It's my final throw, Mike. And I walk in and I look around and I said, I wonder what Granny's having for lunch today. Now, people are going to say, now, why would you wonder what your grandmother's having for lunch today? Because the more I think about a throw, the more we think when we step in that box, everything slows. You're slowing everything down. Your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to react. You've done this a million times. Do it, but don't think it. Just go. So I cleared my head. The rest of it's a blur. I hit this throw, and I looked out into the crowd, and everybody was fuzzy. It was like I was seeing stars, and I'm watching this weight. And when it comes down, I just hear the crowd go crazy. And it was 91 feet. It's my PR, my lifetime PR. So that throw for me was a defining moment because I had to dig really deep to pull that out and know what to do and not, as me and Craig Smith used to joke, he would get in there and he'd say, I'm about to get down on one. And when he'd say that, he'd mess up because we were really trying to throw hard and it messes you up. So I just had to really pull that out. And I ended up winning the national championship that day off that throw. So to me, I don't know if it's a defining moment, but it's one of those moments that I'll never forget.
Well, I love it. And if there's any athletes listening, Kerry just gave you guys the biggest gold nugget ever in that last comment. Just trust yourself. Don't think about it. Just go do it. So, and because of that, let me talk about this. And I know you'll probably downplay this, but you really have built something that athletes all over the country look to as the gold standard. Did you know at the time that you were actually building a legacy in Kentucky in the Highland Games, or were you just trying to keep the games alive one throw at a time for yourself?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you thinking that, Michael, but I mean, if we're being, you're right, I will downplay this. I mean, if we're sprinkling glitter on a turd, I mean, there's a handful of us that throw in Kentucky. So it's not like I've got, major competition of, 40, 50 people, vying to be the who's who of, Highland Games in Kentucky. But no, I never, again, let's go right back to the first of the podcast. You put your head down and you go to work every day. And it's not about, oh, I get a gold star today. Oh, I get this. No, it's what you do. So for me, we have a saying at Darkside. Me and Mel use it all the time with our kids. The standard is the standard. Like, we don't deviate from that. Our kids, let them not say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Let them not use yes, sir, no, sir. Let them do the little things wrong. They get it. They know. So we have a standard there, just like I had a standard for myself that, and I think people I think people don't understand the little things that you do make the big things come true.
Yeah, amen to that. So let me ask you this, because you just said obviously there's not a lot of throwers in Kentucky. It is not a very popular thing in Kentucky. I grew up in Meade County, not too far away from you. I had
Mm-hmm.
never heard, nobody ever told me about the games being in Glasgow growing up. I think in 2001 when I graduated, there may have only been 90 Highland Games across the country.
Yeah.
Um, so what's kept you going all these years? What's been your why to keep this going?
Well, number one, you look at our community. We got, and I say this to people all the time. I've been doing this now, Mike, for like, oh God, 20, we're going on 28 years, 27, 28 years. And I can probably name you five assholes in this whole sport in 25 years. And there's some dudes that are annoying and there's some dudes that, I didn't really care that much for, but I mean, five? I mean, heck, I can go over here to the local bar and find you five right now I don't like.
Right.
So it's the community is one of the big things that I think's really kept me in it. The friendships. Um, I love seeing people throw big. I mean, when me and Zach Riley, teamed up, it was first of all I was honored that he wanted to team up with me. Second of all, I loved helping him throw farther. It was because he's a mutant. Like the dude he's a total, absolute BA unit. And so I like helping people, obviously, achieve their physical goals because I would have loved to have somebody like me, when I was starting and coming around to take a lot of the guesswork out, for one. But the Highland Games to me goes a little deeper. At Glasgow, my mom, my grandmother, um, they all were a big part of that. Uh, they were they were just appalled that Glasgow did not have this big spread of food for the athletes. So we started a tradition at the Glasgow Games. And Michael, when I tell you an absolute smorgasbord, oh my God. You've been around country cooking. You know how
Oh
they
yeah.
roll.
Oh yeah.
I mean, well, we've got to feed 10. Well, we better make sure it's not 50. So they bring enough food to feed an army. And so, quick, funny little story. I'll tell you this. Ryan Vieira, 5-time world champion, one of my mentors, um, great guy, helped me a ton. He's at the Glasgow game every year. I fanboy, man crush, everything you want to say, I had it because he was my height, built like me. There's a chance because I'm running around with these 6'3", 300-pound giants, and here's Ryan. So I thought, man, there's a chance. So we had we had a big spread of food out. Excuse me. And Ryan looks over at this peach cobbler. My grandmother made this pan of peach cobbler. And there was about 2 or 3 pieces left. And Ryan slides it over to himself and looks around and goes, hey, man, is anybody else going to eat this cobbler? Nobody said anything. Ryan pulls the cobbler in his lap and starts eating straight out of the pan. So we get back to my grandmother's house at night. And Granny goes, well, I don't know who Big Boy was, but he's eating right out of my pan. So they would make this enormous amount of food. So Glasgow meant a lot more to me than just a game. It was, it was a family thing that unified my family, my aunts, my uncles. My uncle made all the cabers. Uh, my aunts made all the food. I mean, it was just it was a big family gathering, and it was a whole weekend. And they were all so excited every weekend it came around. So that is another one. It's just it means more to me because of that. Now, of course, I don't have that anymore, but that is always stuck with me. That it's kind of, again, that commitment, that closeness that you have in a Highland game is just it's unparalleled in any other sport, I believe.
I agree. I definitely agree. So let's talk about it then. When you're looking at the next generation, do you see the same spark that you had? Do you think we'll be able to carry that torch?
Well, I feel like every sport, Mel and I were involved in bodybuilding for a few years to have something different to do. Everything's watered down. When I got in the sport, Mike, it was, hey, that's a 56. That's what you'll be throwing. You're an amateur. I mean, that's what you threw. Now we've got, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, and I watched Eric Frazier at 13 years old beat grown men with a 56 for distance because there wasn't a junior division. Like you had no junior division, and I just think I think we've watered it down quite a bit. I mean, if you can't do it, you can't do it. I'm sorry. I was never going to be a center in the NBA. Too short, no skill. So, I mean, there's some of the stuff you don't need to do. Do I feel like COVID hurt the games a lot because it took a lot of pro games away? So one of the things that once I got better amateur, I learned, hey, these guys get paid to do this. Now, I never thought that was going to be me, but that was my driving force. Try to get to be a pro. Try to be a pro. Now, I see these guys going pro, and they're not throwing 40 in a heavyweight. They're not throwing 80 in a lightweight. They're not even breaking 100 in a heavy hammer. But, hey, they got a good sheath. Well, that'll get you a great handshake at the end of the day. My thing was, you got to be good at all 7. Or if you got one weak event, it better not be 2 weak. And I did. My stone was my weak event. But it wasn't dead last week. So, I could still make up points in other places. These guys nowadays, I feel like there's a lot of one-trick ponies. In the pros too. I mean, I'll just say it. There's a lot of one-trick ponies in the pros. We didn't really have that when I was coming up. Like, all the pros were good. And I know it's going to be, he's just an old crusty man. His generation was better. Go do some math, bro. Go check your numbers. Analytics won't lie to you. You look at the top 10, our top 10 was sick. And we were all right in there bunched together, other than Ryan. Ryan was usually a little bit ahead of everybody else, but that's the problem I see.
I get it. No, hey, I kind of agree. And I think there's a split in my opinion. There's because there's a big part of people that want to do it just to connect to their cultural roots.
Sure.
And then you have the folks like you that are strictly, I don't want to say success driven, but like you talked about, you have a standard and you don't want to lower that standard. So
Yeah.
and that is why, and I know you're going to hate this, but that's why we call you the godfather of the Kentucky Highland Games. I had no idea about the Highland Games till I moved to Florida, and just the way the boys in Florida talked about you, I thought I was being so disrespectful from being just from the county over and not knowing you. I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? So for me, always saying that to you, because I will always introduce you as that. What's that mean for you? Is that okay that I keep doing that? Because I'm probably not going to stop, just to be honest.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was reading your email to Mel, and I said I've got to get Mike on board as my hype guy because I am doing it wrong. And I read that one to her, and I said the Godfather of Kentucky Highland Games, and Mel and I both chuckled, and it was very, very, very flattering. I do not feel like that is who I am. Or any sense of that. I think a big part of it is I'm always willing to help people no matter what. I try to be very approachable, very friendly. Um, you know, those are things that I think people remember. And if you want me to be honest, Mike, I wish people would remember me as, hey, he was a great person. He was a great friend. He was caring. Those are things that I really want to be remembered for. But I always say this: I never ever get tired of somebody walking up and saying, "Hey, legend." It never gets old. Now, and yes, if you want me to say it, I did earn that a little bit, not from how good I was, but from the work I've put in and continue to put in. And I continue to, learn. Still, from the new guys, I'm still trying to pick up stuff from them. But I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for that compliment.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Don't worry. I'll be your hype man anytime you need me. I will follow you with a microphone and a speaker and just tell people, hey guys, the king is here. But let's talk about that because I mean, obviously you've went so far beyond what you even say. I don't think the folks out there really know how helpful you are to folks like me in the Highland Games. For me, when I'm having that oh shit moment, hey Kerry, they hired me to be a track and field coach. What do? I don't want to screw this up. Just so much, and that's how I assume your book came about. Your book on the Masters Highland Games. So let's talk about that a little bit. And you guys can find that on Amazon right now. I do believe if you're listening, I highly suggest it. It's a fantastic read. But what inspired it?
Well, I mentioned his name earlier. So I didn't have a clue who Zach Riley was. And he showed up this is before Glasgow got shut down. I think it was 2018 or 17. I can't remember which. But I'm looking over there, and I'm AD at the time, but we still had a pro game. And I might be wrong about this, but I think at that time we were doing the North American Pro Championship. So we brought 4 Canadians down and had 4 Americans. And so, we were going at it. Great day. Other than the Canadians melting in the June humidity at Kentucky. Greg Hadley, I see you, baby. Shout out to you. So Zach is over there, and I'll always look and kind of see what amateurs are throwing. And I'm like, who is that? Or actually, what is that? It looked like an overgrown troll, like an ogre. I was like, good Lord. Then I'm watching him throw, and I'm like, this dude is no joke. Like, he's a grown man. So I didn't really know who he was. I knew he was from up in Indiana. So me and him got to talking. He just reached out to me and said, man, love your videos on YouTube. I really love your specific stuff for throwing, this, that, and the other. So, and I guess I need to rewind just real quick. When I started this, Michael, every single person I talked to said, well, you've got to do Olympic lifts. You've got to. You can't be explosive if you're not. Bullshit. It's total BS. So I didn't know how to do Olympic lifts, so I didn't. So I did it my way. Found my way to do it. And a lot of it was with some of these, crazy exercises and other stuff I did. So now I've got someone saying, hey, I really like what you're doing. Now, little did I know, this man has a degree in everything, exercise science, neurology. I mean, he's a genius. The dude is very smart. I also did not realize this fool darn near made the Olympics in wire hammer at Ball State. He went to school with Matt Winning, who's Winning's got a lot of stuff out, Winning Strength up in Ohio. But this guy was a kind of how do I put this? It was kind of valid. He's not he's not some dude over here that doesn't know anything. Like, he knows his stuff. And he's telling me how good my stuff is. Need to make it a book. And I'm like, dude, ain't nobody buying Highland Game books. He goes, I think we could do a good one. So he talks me into it. So it wasn't like, I'm going to help the community out and I'm going to write this book for them. Matter of fact, I'm going to give it away free. No, he literally, I'm not even kidding you. This was like 5 conversations of him talking me into writing this book. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. So he had the really hard task. So we had to go in and edit the hillbillyisms that I've got throughout this whole book. So he put together something that I'm super proud of in terms of how it lays out. And we really should have named it something else because it's for everybody. It's not just for masters. But from a marketing standpoint, and I have to worry about that, we've got more masters than we've ever had. So, and we don't have a book. We never had a book specifically for masters athletes because a lot of people were using, not a knock on Matt Vincent at all, not a knock on Dan McKim at all. They were using some of their book stuff, which they're great books, but I didn't think a masters athletes need to do 10 sets of 10. Our recovery is not the same. And no matter how much TRT you're on, or peptides, or creatine, or milk, or whatever, you're not going to recover, from thrashing yourself like that. So I was like, we're going to make this so it's friendly for the over 40 thrower. So it's kind of how we came up with the book. He and I are right now collaborating. We're going to do a cues book. So
has that been announced yet? Are you saying that first right here?
Right now. It's being announced right now.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So what we're going to do is it's going to kind of be a companion book with our other one, but it's going to be cues for, let's say you're throwing stone and it keeps, say you're a right-handed thrower, keeps going off to the right. We're going to give you 2 or 3 cues of why it's doing that and then how to fix that.
Oh,
So
that's great. That's fantastic.
Each event, we're going to go through and do that. And then we're going to try and have it out. We'd like to have it out by next year, but it all kind of depends on, how quick we can get it in and all that stuff. But yeah, that's coming soon.
That's great news, guys, and such gold for me. I can't believe you did that for me. That's amazing, guys. I can't wait to push that out there. So let me ask you this. What do you want people to feel when they read it? Especially now that you've just announced that there is a second book coming, what do you want people to get from these books?
Problem solved. Like for me, I've been, Mel and I have just been started in taking jujitsu. And I never wanted to take it because I've seen everybody get hurt. So, but we've got some really good instructors and I'm having to learn. Oh my gosh, my brain is so, yeah, I've got a lot of things I can still move and do with. But if I get you down on the ground, now I'm like, now what? Now what do I do? It's the same thing in Highland Games. Okay, I've got my first step down. Now what? So I want this to be for that. I want for people to get out of this book for you to look at it and be like, dadgummit, that's what I'm doing wrong every time, and able to fix it. So we're wanting it to be where you can keep this in your truck or car, grab it, pull it out during the practice, be like, that's what I'm doing wrong. Go out, apply it, make it work. That's what our hopes are.
That's fantastic. And it's definitely a durable book. It is stayed in my backpack for 3.5 years now and
Oh, wow.
is not that beat up at all. I will tell you, I literally take that book everywhere with me, whether I need it that day or not. It stays in my everyday pack.
Well, I
So
appreciate
so let me switch gears a little bit. And I know you've still competed, but what's the difference about coaching versus competing? And how has mentoring all of us heathens kind of changed you?
I think a lot of times, and I was just having this conversation the other day with somebody, being a great thrower and being a great coach are not the same thing. And I say this, God, all the time. If I'm doing a clinic and you're at that clinic, you're going to hear me say, this is how I do it. This does not mean that you have to do it my way. This is how I do it. Then I will also give them ways that this is how Craig Smith does it. This is how Zach Riley does it. So Highland Games is not a set in stone. You can do anything. I mean, you watch Kyle Lilly, watch his 28 technique. I couldn't do that to save my life. There's no way. He starts, sideways, does a full spin around, forget it. I'm out. I'm already dizzy watching him. So that's the first thing, is a great thrower does not produce a great coach. So I think you've got to be very wary and very cognitive of people's shape, for one. If you have bench press arms, and those are usually, you'll see a guy, he's barely going to get his hand in his pocket, good bench presser. Really shitty thrower usually, because you don't have the levers. Now, it doesn't mean you won't be a good thrower, but it's harder because you don't have those levers that someone else has. So that's another thing I look for. Movement morons. Those are people that have no body awareness. Like, once they make a turn, over. And I'll say stuff like, you need to get your hips separated from your upper body. Well, I don't know hieroglyphics, but I just spoke it to them because they have no idea. So I usually will send them a video of me telling them exactly what I want to see. And again, I think coaching and throwing, completely two different worlds. I wish that, my body would allow me to keep throwing because it makes me a better coach when I'm throwing. But I'm a better trainer when I'm, doing throw stuff because I remember stuff, stuff come, and I try stuff. I mean, I do a plethora of crazy stuff. I mean, look at any of my YouTube videos and you'll see. But I think to coach, you've got to care. And anybody that knows anything, you're not in Highland Games for money. Like I said earlier, I love seeing people throw big, have PRs. So for me, when about 4 weeks ago, Aaron Carr, kid I've been training since January, he was struggling. He wasn't moving towards his goals. He was doing everything I was telling him. So I'm, okay, what have I done wrong? Where have I went wrong? I learned a lesson myself. He hit the breakthrough moment. 5 PRs in one game.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
Again, I go back to, you asked me early on about the mentality, and you've got to be willing to be patient. It's something I use all the time with people when they get frustrated. They'll, can't get a 2 turn down or they can't do something. And I'll be like, well, God forbid that you're not a pro after your 20 turns right here. I just can't believe it. So you're insulting me, because it took me 5 years of absolute obsessing, going to bed watching the Ryan Vieira, Kurt Pauly tape every single night. That song is stuck in my head for life. So I obsessed over this to do this. So again, getting back to, sorry you're not a pro after your 10 practice throws right now, but it takes a long time to do that. In coaching, you've got to be patient and you got to know who you're coaching. A lot of times you got to take stuff with a grain of salt. And for me, communicating. If you're ever in my gym and just sit and watch me with my college kids and my high school kids, it's a continuous circle of how you feeling, what's going on with you, everything. because you got to know where you're who you're coaching and what you're coaching. Because everybody can't be coached the same, and that's just I think that's where I think we mess up sometimes, thinking, you know, not everything fits for everybody else. So I guess that's kind of my take on the coaching part of that.
I got you. So, what do you say to somebody who's like 38, 40, 45, just thinking about getting started? Are the games still for them?
Well, if you listen to me on the microphone, I say don't. If you value your joints, your health, your sanity, um, I would say find somebody that's doing it. Get with them, preferably not me. Uh, and it's that sounds terrible, but Mel and I work 6, some days 7. I mean, I wrote a program this morning, so um, it's hard. When I got to coach somebody for 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday, it just really shortens my,
Yeah,
recharge time.
right.
But just finding a group that's throwing and go throw with them, because number one, they've got the implements. Now, number two, they'll break my golden rule. AMs don't take advice from AMs. But if that's what you're with, it works, because something's better than nothing. I mean, if you're starving and you get a crumb, that's better than not having anything. But the, if you're capable, I see so many guys out there. It's like, well, I tore this bicep tendon, and then I tore this tricep, and then my quad detached, but I think I'm gonna be good for Worlds. I'm like, what? For what? For you to pay $200 and get a attaboy? I mean, at some point, you got to look at your health. I want to still be able. Yesterday, took my grandbabies to cut capers. I want to keep doing that.
Well,
If I keep throwing, if I'd have kept throwing, I wouldn't have a right shoulder left. I have nerve damage on my right side. I can't turn my foot. So it affects everything I do. So I just had to say, hey, this ain't for you anymore, big guy. Do what you're good at. Running your mouth and telling other people what to do.
so, with that being said, anybody that can't throw, please come out and volunteer on the field. We still need judges. We still
Amen.
need we still
Amen.
need everybody to be a part of it. I took an injury. I did feel that was a little directed because you could probably hear the shoulder popping in the microphone, but I went out and judged when I couldn't throw. So we
Exactly.
need judges. We need people on the field. Come be a part of the family.
Love it. I love it. Wait, good one. I
Yeah,
love that segue. That was
yeah,
great.
yeah. For hey, you set it up, man. There was the alley oop. I think I can. I'm tall enough to get the dunk. So, but let me ask you this, just so we know, Obviously, the legendary KO had some tough times. What's the hardest moment that you've ever faced in this journey? What got you through it?
2000, 2003, I'd been a pro about a year or two. I had a little success. Um, Finished second to Vieira like 8,000 times, it felt like. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And 03, it was my second year throwing as a pro. Super excited. My mom gets sick. She hadn't been really good. She was diabetic. Never took care of herself. You know, Basically everything I do now is to not be her. And but again, you know how it goes, man. Those old country folk, they do whatever they want. They don't care. So, she smoked. She had diabetes. I mean, she said all these issues, and she took a real bad turn in 2003, and grew up no dad. We, single mom. Me and my sister and my mom was it. Had my grandparents and my uncles, but basically I was slave labor for my uncles. So it wasn't like, it's let's go out and play ball, boy. No, it was let's go out and work. But I'm grateful for that now. But that was a rough time for me because I was my mom was everything. She that's from my not quitting, work ethic, resilience, power. All that comes from her because I watched that woman work 2, 3 jobs forever for us to live in a trailer. And then we upgraded to the projects, which we got an AC. I thought, shit, we're made it. And then we got cable. You couldn't tell me shit once we had cable. So, but I knew, how much she struggled. And at 11 years old, I worked tobacco that entire year to buy my own school clothes so she didn't have to. And I did that from 11 on because when someone you love like that, and you just see them just every day beaten down. And what did she do? Every flipping day she got up, she went right back to work. It never failed. I seen that woman sick maybe once in her entire life. So watching that, and it's what I tell parents, kids are always watching. Kids are watching. They may not say anything, but they are watching. So when she passed, I thought, man, how am I gonna deal with this? So everything I had went into Highland Games. So it was a tough journey, but it was also a blessing. Now that year was the first year I ever beat Ryan. It was 2 months after that. And she, it was really weird. It was only like a day. It was 2 months and a day, the day I beat Ryan, that she passed. So it was kind of crazy. It was in Minnesota, actually. So that was a little bit tough. Got through that. Other than that, just your normal. You get through slumps. Had a really bad slump in like 2006 or 7. Had to refocus and get things going, but nothing like I dealt with when I lost her, because when you lose somebody like that, it's tough. If you had as much love for him as I did, it was rough, but we got through it.
Kerry, thanks for sharing that with us, man. And if you're listening, that is how the seeds of legacy are sown right there. That's that almost made me tear up, boss man. Good Lord, we're not supposed to cry on this.
Well,
We're supposed to talk Highland Games. That was amazing. But let me ask you this, okay? If you could go back to 18-year-old Kerry, what would you tell him today?
nothing. Well,
I love it.
I say this all the time. Like, would I change my life? Maybe. I give me a stock tip. Maybe sure. But my life is such a, oh God, and I think all of our lives are, but it's a country road. It's an old country road. We're driving straight away. Oh man. And all of a sudden, 90-degree turn, and then you got 3 90-degree turns. That's my life. But because of that, I am who I am. I may not be that person. I may not be as resilient. I may not be as smart. And that's a stretch. I may not be a lot of things, but at 18, I thought I knew it all, as we all did. I just really started hitting the weights. Every ounce of my being was, about me, like most 18-year-old kids are. But I look at my journey, and then I worked. Then at 21, went back and played college football. Because I went back at that time, I have the best group of best friends a man could ever ask for. And I wouldn't have that group if I'd went earlier or I'd never went. I got started in Highland Games at 26, really started. It was introduced to me earlier, but I really got started about 26 years old. And I don't know if I would have been as good or as interested had I started earlier. I might have got burnt out. I might have just been like, I don't want to do it anymore. But it was what I needed at that time. So I thought about that when I read that question, and man, so many things in my head, like, well, I'd have done this and I'd have done that, and I should have done this. And I went, wait a minute. No, I'm not me. And now, if you hate yourself, sure, you'd go back and do a lot of different stuff. But like I said to you, I want to be remembered as somebody that was a good friend, that was a good person, that tried to help people. Those are things that, that's what I want my legacy conceded as. In my celebration of life, not my funeral, I want people up there telling stories, and I hope they're awful. I hope they're embarrassing as all get out to me. I'm dead, it won't matter. But that's how I want people, So I don't think I would change anything, Michael, if you want the truth.
Yeah, for sure. And you're definitely right on par for what we're talking about, man, because I think you have built such a big legacy. I think there's going to be some wonderful stories there. Um, when that day comes, and it'll be a sad day in Kentucky for sure, and the rest of the Highland Games world, which I don't even want to think about, obviously. But when that day comes, what do you think is something that people misunderstand about you?
Mm, I don't know, because I try to be very, very transparent. I don't like beating around the bush about stuff. If you and I have a problem, let's me and you hash it out right now. We're adults. Um, I'm I'm pretty open about how I am with a lot of stuff. Um, I think I used to get worried that people didn't take me serious. That was my big concern, is because I was always joking about stuff, and I was always, laughing and having a good time. And when I'm on the field, I would have people come up to me and say, nobody looks like they're having as much fun as you are. And I said, good, because I wanted to be that type of person while I was on the field. But, when it's all said and done, I think I just said it a minute ago. If people are talking about what a good person I was, uh, honest, honesty's big with me. Loyalty's big with me. Um, if people remember me as the godfather of the Highland Games in Kentucky, I'd be okay with that. Um, Definitely want them to remember me as a fierce competitor. Um, no matter what, I would never quit, ever. I would never, ever lay down. I would go right to the very end. You hit on it earlier with your football team. When I was coaching, I was a defense coordinator at Bethlehem, and we'd play some of these teams. And I mean, it's a little bitty Catholic school over here. We don't got any big country boys, and we don't have any, elaborate, talent. So it was tough. But I never quit coaching. I never quit. If we were down, I kept coaching just like we were going to win the game. That's my life. I don't ever want to quit. I want to keep going. And it's hard. Like, there's a lot of days that you just are like, man, I would just like for life to get easier. But that makes us soft. And life's not getting any easier, as we keep going on. It's supposed to, but I don't know if it will or not. So, being a competitor, not a quitter, good person, those are things that I really hope. If my name never gets mentioned along with the Highland game, but gets mentioned because I was such a good person, I'm good, brother. I'm good.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, listen, let's do a little lightning round just to get to know OKO a little bit better before we close out here. What is your favorite Highland Games event? And we already know it's not Stone.
God, no. As a matter of fact, we ought to just obliterate that boring event altogether. Um, I love the 56, man, because you'd see these shot putters come out and blast these stones, and you're like, as soon as they grab that man child, it's a different ball game. And at 56, I would watch it just absolutely whip these kids to death, and I would grab it and it was just something I was always good at. Even when I was bad, I was still pretty good at it. So love that 56.
That 56 whipped me like a dog the first time and threw me.
Yeah, it
and
usually
I
does.
and I was kind of at my lightest at that point. Now I'm a big guy. I'm 6'7", but I was probably like at that 275, 280. I always get fatter when I come up north. I was in Florida. And David Andrews looked at me and said, "Oh my God, I better teach you or you're going to kill yourself or somebody else."
Well, and in your defense, the taller guys, man, it's hard because your center of gravity, I mean, you got to get low. That's what, my advantage was is this dump truck butt of mine. I had a counterweight. You guys, you tall guys don't have that.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I'm not in the NFL. This wonderful scout at Tampa told me, you don't have the behind to be in the NFL. You need a tree trunk. He said, lose 100 pounds and catch, big boy. So, what about foods? I know you're used to that home style cooking, but at one of these festivals, is there a food that you have to have before you leave?
Here's a good one. I never eat at a Highland game ever. Um, Started this way back as an amateur. They fed us, big sub sandwiches and all this stuff, not festival food. And at lunch, I'm like, oh my God. I was out. I was just like, I don't feel like throwing now because I've got a full belly. Should be used to that because you come in from cutting tobacco, you go to Granny D's table and you're eating. But you better because you got another 6 hours out in tobacco patch. But I don't, there's nothing at a festival that I eat very much of. I don't ever get anything, no funnel cakes, fried Oreos, none of that stuff. Definitely not haggis. Definitely not haggis. Or drumsticks. I don't even know if I've ever had a drumstick at a Highland game. So I'm going to disappoint you on that one.
Oh, that's okay. I stay on Pedialyte and oranges.
Yeah, yeah,
is pretty much what I'm pounding during the Highland Games.
yeah.
I don't know if anybody has tried to use a porta potty in a kilt, but it is not very fun.
Not for number two, it ain't.
Yeah, that's for sure. So you have a long time in this sport. All right. I want to know your most underrated athlete that you have seen.
Um, Nobody will probably know this name, but him and his wife, and I called this years ago. His name is Mike Pakowski. Mike and Mindy were, I want to say they were out west, discus throwers, hammer throwers. I mean, incredible track and field athletes. Um, Mike was a great dude, still is. I've got a couple kids, live out on the lake now, I think. So I think it was 09, 10, somewhere in that range. I tell everybody, get ready. Mike is going to win the world championships. He had a great stone, great weights, stupid hammer, great caber, very solid wob. His sheet was his weak event, but he was solid. I mean, he was still solid. So Mike had a very underwhelming confidence in himself. You knew he was confident, but you'd never know it by talking to him. But to me, he was one of the more underrated athletes. He never really got, as much pub as everybody else because he got out too quick. He was in the sport 5, 6, 7 years, came in and really, really good. But that would probably be my guy. Probably be my guy.
Well, good. I hope everybody that's listening goes and looks that up. Nazca's still alive a little bit. Should be able to find some information on there about those years. I'm going to switch this one up on you just a little bit. Since we already know, which one do you prefer, caber or sheaf?
Oh, sheaf, easily.
Now
Uh,
you say that, but you have some amazing pictures floating around with you and cabers.
well, Photoshop's fantastic. I don't know if you've used it, but well, so the caber and I have a love-hate relationship. Like, there's days that I'll pick it and it's just like it's on. And then there's days I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing out here. The sheaf, come on, Mike, throwing hay, baby, all day, every day. And a quick little story on that is one summer I came back, my sheaf wasn't very good. I just started in Highland Games. It's like 1998, 99. So my uncle, of course, we had to throw hay. Well, we didn't have an escalator. No. We don't mess with that stuff. So I'm on the wagon, literally chucking hay into the loft. And these are like 70-pound bales. So while I'm sitting there, I thought, hey, kind of get my sheaf motion in. Maybe it'll help me. We did 2 weeks of hay. Went back about a week or so later. I'm throwing 4 feet higher in the sheaf. So it gave me ideas, of what to do, but sheaf for sure over caber, because if you've seen my cabers, there's no telling what they look like. I mean, you're going to pick one. It's probably got a crooked leg in the middle, snake back up top. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
See,
So,
I prefer those cabers. The
oh,
straight uniform caber is just like I'm not gonna say it's easy, but I like a little bit of a challenge.
yeah. Well, you'd love these.
Well, hey, next year I'll be back at it next year.
Good.
But give me one word real quick just to describe the Highland Games family before we close this out for everybody.
One word. Togetherness. We're out there on that field. Every one of us we have a common goal we're trying to hit. But if I'm competing with you, we're in this together. You just made a big PR throw. I want you to. You know why? Because now I got to. You've raised my game up. You've made me raise my game up. So together, I think it's a lot of togetherness, even when it's people out there that you can do without, but you're still all out there, kind of in this thing together. So be my word.
I love it. I love it. Togetherness is definitely it. And Carrie, we're coming to the close, and I just want you to know that one day when the games are over and the fields are quiet, your words will echo through the rolling hills of Kentucky forever. We thank you for everything that you've built, you've protected, and passed on. This isn't just about weights and kilts, it's about heart, history, and holding the torch for those behind us. You're not just a legacy, sir. Or you are the Kentucky Highland Games.
Thank you so much for all those kind words. I really appreciate it, Mike. I'm glad I've got you snowed and you think I'm that great. Loved being on your show. Can't tell you what an honor it was and a privilege, and hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir. See you on the field. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did. I hope it paints a picture of how important everyone's legacy is, helping the Highland Games, but especially Carrie Overfeld for what he's done for a lot of us younger athletes and older athletes, and making us better every time we talk to him. It's spectacular to have him on our show as one of our first featured guests. And I would also like to make the announcement that Carrie has now started a Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get Highland Games tips and tricks and a whole bunch of other amazing value from Carrie. Again, the godfather of Kentucky's Highland Games, over on his Patreon. Make sure you find him on social media. Make sure you give him a follow. And guys, we can't thank you enough for being a part of this amazing journey at Rally the Tartans. Thank you, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Have a great night.